जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। Little loudly. यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। जमुना तीरा वनचारी। जमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जयो राधे श्याम जयो राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम जयो राधे श्याम, राधे श्याम राधे श्याम जयो राधे श्याम। जयो गौरानिताय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय, जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय, जय गौरानिताय। जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद। निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। निताय गौर हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। निताय गौर हरि बोल। हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Satyadesh Tarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sandhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nanda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So at the outside I would like to thank Veena Mataji and her good husband, the Chopra family, for inviting us here. So very happy to be here at this beautiful setting, and very nice to see all the wonderful friends and associates of Veena Mataji. Hare Krishna. So so basically we have been, is English okay? English? English is okay? Okay, fine. So we have been discussing Bhagavad Gita. So what we decided was 1 week we will do Gita and 1 week we will do a relevant topic like that. Bhagavad Gita is always relevant. But anyway, probably we could on these slides also. Samne ka. It will come. Oh, because of the projection? You can just check. So we discussed the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Do you all remember? Any idea? The first chapter of Bhagavad Gita? So anyone would like to is it too bright? Is it okay? Fine. So the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, anyone would like to quickly, I wouldn't say recap, but some points that you all remember of the first chapter? Anyone?
The war between Arjun and Krishna was there. And
Not between Arjun and Krishna.
No. I mean,
The war between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. So we saw like setting of the scene, right? Anything else that you all remember of the first chapter?
The sick duty.
Huh?
Duty.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we discussed the word dharma a little.
He didn't want to kill, he didn't want
You
to
are
fight against his cousins.
Correct.
But then he was explained that it is your duty because you are a Kshatriya.
Correct. Anything else?
Krishna was there as a driver.
Yes, we saw this, that Krishna is, entry comes in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is shown as a driver of Arjuna, as a chariot driver. So we discussed this point of how even the Supreme Lord, he is happy taking a position of a servant for his devotees. Anything else?
Like military formation
Huh?
of the army.
The formation of the armies we saw, correct?
The question which Dhritarashtra asked,
Ha.
this seems so simple, but showed his character and the grievous nature
Correct.
sat behind it.
Yeah, we started the Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter, by discussing these two psychologies of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. So Dhritarashtra was a personality. He showed himself like a very innocent person, but he was very cunning in nature. So we use the word duplicity for Dhritarashtra, right? He shows a certain picture to the world, but internally he is something else. Correct. Anything else?
The way Hanumanji played the part.
Yes, we also saw signs of victory of Arjuna. We saw various signs even before the war started how Arjuna would be victorious. One of the signs was the Hanumanji on the flag of Arjuna. Good, you all remember quite a few things.
Duryodhana talking about Arjuna as the power.
Yeah, so Duryodhana is scared about the Pandavas' power like that. Okay. So, the second chapter of Gita is called Contents of the Gita Summarized. In Sanskrit, the second chapter is called Sankhya Yoga. So basically, the second chapter contains the whole Gita in a summary form, the different sections of the Gita in a summary form. So the first chapter, towards the end, we discussed 4 reasons why Arjuna doesn't want to fight. The first reason was compassion. So Arjuna being a devotee of Krishna, naturally if someone is on the spiritual path, naturally the quality of compassion comes out very prominently. So Arjuna as a compassionate devotee was thinking, how can I kill so many people just for me to enjoy? So Arjuna was feeling that better not fight. This is the first reason. Second reason, we saw enjoyment. Arjuna was feeling that if so many relatives are dead, whom will I enjoy with? Right? Imagine he's fighting this war and he's the king now and no one is there for him to enjoy with. It doesn't work. So he didn't want to fight. The third is he was fearful of sinful reactions. Right? He was thinking that sin will overcome me, I'll have to go to hell and suffer like that. And the fourth reason, which we also discussed, was destruction of family traditions. So Arjuna was thinking that if all the men die here and all the elderly people die here, who will take care of the women? How will the family traditions go on? Right? How will the traditions get passed on generation after generation? So this is another reason he decides not to fight. So in the first chapter, it ends with Arjuna's 4 reasons not to fight, and Arjuna just gives up and he sits on the chariot and he says, my dear Krishna, na yotseti Govinda. Arjuna says, my dear Krishna, my dear Govinda, I will not fight. With that decision, he sits down. So now from this point on, the second chapter continues. The first part of the second chapter, Arjuna gives the 5th reason why he doesn't want to fight. And the 5th reason is called indecision. Indecision means he is confused. In the first chapter, he says clearly he doesn't want to fight. But in the second chapter, first half, Arjuna is confused. He's feeling that either ways, whether I fight or whether I don't fight, my life is a mess. Right? So sometimes, life takes us to a certain point where we feel that we don't know what to do. Every option you consider the pros and cons, it looks similar. So you don't know what to do. So Arjuna reaches a point of confusion. So confusion is actually good. Why? Because only when you are confused, you don't know what to do, you take shelter of a higher power, you take shelter of a certain guide, and then you get clarity. Right? So sometimes confusion is good, because confusion brings you to a point where you realize that your knowledge, your skill set is not enough. See, Arjuna was not an ordinary person. Arjuna was a very, very powerful warrior. Complete success records. Very skillful, a great personality. But Arjuna also reaches a point where he gets confused. So Srila Prabhupada in the purports, if you all do get time, you all can go and read the purports that we are discussing from the Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada explains that the nature of this world is, however big you may be a genius, you may be an expert, you may be very, very successful, but all of us will hit a point where our knowledge, our skill sets, all these things will not help us. Nothing can actually help us. And when we reach this point, then we become humble. And only in a humble state of mind, knowledge comes. Without humility, there cannot be any knowledge. Just like if you want to fill milk in a glass, that glass has to be empty. If the glass is already full, how will you fill milk? So the first step to gain knowledge, any knowledge, especially spiritual knowledge, is humility. A disciple has to be humble. If humility is not there, then you can't know, you can't progress in life. So when ideally we will see Arjuna comes to a certain point where he tells Krishna, my dear Krishna, I don't know, you please help me. So the qualification, see, in one sense, Bhagavad Gita has still not begun fully, in the sense that Krishna has still not begun his instructions. This is still Arjuna, we are discussing about Arjuna. Now, before Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is showing us what qualification we need to understand Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is not a book, we have discussed this many times. Bhagavad Gita is not a book to be read on the level of intelligence. This is not a book to be read on the level of intelligence. This is a book that you have to connect to with your heart. It has to bring about a certain transformation. It's not about I know all the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. It's not about that. It's about how much transformation is going to bring about. Right? And for this transformation to come, a humble state of mind is necessary. This is a prerequisite for spiritual life. In the 4th chapter of Gita, Krishna tells a very beautiful shloka. Tatviddi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya ubdekshanti te jnanam jnanina sattvadarshana. So Krishna says, if you want to get knowledge, spiritual knowledge, go to a guru and render menial service. In our Vedic system, the Gurukul system, young children would go to the house of the Guru. They would stay there. The Guru would teach them spiritual knowledge, scriptures. But along with that, these boys, these children would engage in menial service. They would clean the floor for the Guru. Whatever the Guru and the Guru Patni would tell them, the children would do. Because if you don't balance knowledge with seva, knowledge will remain only on the head. It will not reach the heart. It will not bring about a certain transformation. So confusion is good because only when you reach a dead end, when you reach a point of confusion, you surrender. Arjuna, until he reaches this confusion, he doesn't surrender. So this mood is very good of being humble. And only in a humble state of mind, we are open to learn. As they say in English, there's a saying, parachute is useful as long as it's able to open itself. A closed parachute has no use. A mind is useful only when the mind is open to learn. So one time there was a boy who went to a Mridanga teacher. This drum is called a Mridanga. So there was one boy who went to a Mridanga teacher to learn Mridanga. So the teacher asked him, what do you know? The boy said, I don't know anything. So the teacher said, you come from tomorrow. Every month you pay me 100 rupees. Another candidate came to the Mridanga teacher. The Mridanga teacher asked him, what do you know? He said, I already know a few things. So Mridanga teacher told him 200 rupees. So this boy said, that guy, first guy, he didn't know anything. You're charging 100. I already know something. You're charging 200. So he said, the first guy is easier to teach because he's a blank slate. Because you know, and all the things you know is not correct. First 100 rupees is to clear you. And then actually teach. Srila Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, before Prabhupada went to America, Prabhupada tried a lot in India. But the problem with Indians were, there were slates in which already something was written. So-called spirituality, but all scribbled spirituality. Not clear. Prabhupada said he tried his best to preach in India, but hardly results were coming. All the Indians were in the second category. They know. So someone who doesn't know you can teach. But someone who doesn't know but says he knows, you can't even teach. So Prabhupada said these candidates are not useful to me. Prabhupada went to America. American people were blank slates. They didn't know anything. So whatever was given systematically, they just absorbed it. So a big disease is a I know disease. I know disease is a very big disease. People don't know, but they'll tell you I know. Especially when it comes to spirituality. Everyone can teach you something. Even though they don't know, they'll show that they know. Right? So this I know disease, especially when you go to a guru, the frame of mind we should go is, I don't know. You can have maximum benefit. Right? It's not that you shouldn't know, you should know, but the mindset is important. How we go and approach a spiritual master. Lord Chaitanya, who was the Supreme Lord who came in Kali Yuga, when he went to his guru, he went in the same mind frame. When Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they were great pandits. They knew so many languages, Sanskrit, Persian, Bengali, everything, experts. But when they went in front of Lord Chaitanya, they went in the mood that I don't know anything. You please tell me. So this kind of mindset is something that is very good for us to actually absorb spiritual life, absorb this knowledge. So Gita is not understood by aptitude. What does aptitude mean? Knowledge. Gita is understood by right attitude. So Bhagavad Gita is not for people who have aptitudes. It's not about how intelligent you are. It's not that. It's about whether you have the right attitude, the right mindset to understand Bhagavad Gita. Just like you have a pot. You have a pot. We were giving an example of a glass, right? Glass or a pot. If you have a pot that is upside down, how much of a milk you pour, nothing is going to store in it, right? So these are people who are very arrogant. They go to a guru, but they are closed completely. Nothing will help them. Imagine you have a pot with holes, right? And someone is pouring the best quality milk in it. But how much can the pot retain? So it's not always about how qualified the guru is. It's also about what is our qualification as a disciple. So the onus is not only with the guru. The disciple also should have certain qualifications and mindsets. So there's no point in being arrogant in front of a guru. There's no point in having ulterior motives. And it is not even useful in having an unclean pot. So if you have an unclean glass or an unclean pot and you pour milk in it, what is the use of that milk? Who is going to drink that milk? So the point is, arrogance, ulterior motives, filthy heart refers to attitudes. So when we go to a guru, we go in a proper mind frame. I don't know whether I told you all this story, but this is a very interesting story. Even if I've told you all, it's worth repeating it at this point. Lord Chaitanya, one time he had gone to this place called Sri Rangam. Did I tell you the story? No. Have you all heard about Sri Rangam? Not heard about Sri Rangam? Sri Rangapattinam is in Mysore, close to Mysore. But there is another place called Sri Rangam, which is in Tamil Nadu, near Trichy. Sri Rangam is a place where Lord Vishnu is lying down, deity form. It's called Ranganath. Very beautiful deity. So one time Lord Chaitanya went to this very holy place called Sri Rangam. Now also, and in those days also, 500 years ago, Sri Rangam is considered to be the hub of intelligent people. Like people who are very expert in Sanskrit and all actually go there. Very, very intelligent Brahmanas. So there was one particular Brahmana who was trying to read Bhagavad Gita. He was trying to read Gita. But the problem with him was he was illiterate. Now, if you are illiterate, how will you read Gita? And he didn't have like a Gita with translations. He just had the shlokas, Sanskrit shlokas. So if you're not an expert in Sanskrit, how will you read Gita? So this Brahmana, he was trying to read Gita, but he was illiterate. So all the other intelligent Brahmanas were making fun of him. This guy is an illiterate, he's trying to read Gita. Lord Chaitanya observed him and came and asked him, what are you doing? He said, I'm trying to read Gita. But then Mahaprabhu told him that I don't think so, you can read it. He said, yes, my guru told me to read Bhagavad Gita every day. I am just carrying out the orders from my guru. Even though I am illiterate, I am just trying. So Mahaprabhu saw that even though this person is actually not able to read Gita, but he has tears in his eyes. So Mahaprabhu asked him, why are you crying? So this Brahmana was saying, as soon as I think that Supreme Lord Krishna, who is the master of the entire world, he's taken such a humble role of a chariot driver for Arjuna. Just seeing this, that how Krishna is humble, how he is ready to serve his devotees, there is tears from my eyes. So Mahaprabhu told him, you have actually understood Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because he had the right attitude. He was reading Gita not on the level of his intelligence, very sincerely trying to carry out the order of his guru. And that's why you could see the transformation of reading Bhagavad Gita in his life. So having the right attitude is something that is very, very important. So the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita has in total 72 verses. So this is, in the Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. So the second chapter is the second largest chapter. The largest chapter being the 18th chapter, I think it has 76 verses. So second chapter of Bhagavad Gita is the second largest chapter. So every chapter is broken into subsections. Bhagavad Gita is like broken into subsections. So the first chapter has the second chapter that we are discussing now has 4 subsections. Okay? Verses 1 to 10 speaks on the topic of Guru, importance of Guru, importance of spiritual master. We will discuss that. 11 to 30 speaks about identity, the knowledge of Atma. 31 to 53 speaks about 2 duties that we have. One is the duty on the bodily level and on the spirit level. And the final section 54 to 74 speaks about the qualities of a self-realized soul, or like someone who is like really advanced. What are the symptoms, right? So these are the sections. So if you read this the first letters of all, it's an acronym called GITA, Gita, right? So because the second chapter is Gita summarized, that's the acronym. So now let's get into the first verse. So that was just the introduction of the second chapter. So the first verse of Bhagavad Gita. Sanjaya Vacha. You can look on the screen. Tam tata kripaya vishtam. Ashru purna kulekshanam. Visidantam idam vakyam. Uvacha Madhusudana. So the translation is like this. Sanjay said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudan Krishna spoke as follows. So here the word that is used is Tam tata kripaya vishtam ashru purna kulekshanam. So Arjuna, his eyes were filled with tears. Generally this is the logic, na? Girl cries, boy doesn't cry. A strong boy doesn't cry. Arjuna was a powerful Kshatriya. Can you imagine Arjuna crying like a child? Arjuna was really in a state of depression. Right? However strong you are, we all reach a point of breakdown. Na? So, and sometimes breakdown is necessary before you recreate something. So that's how it is, the laws of this world. So Arjuna reached a point where he actually started to cry. So, in this world, crying is something that we can't avoid, lamentation. In Sanskrit, this crying is called shoka. Shoka. Everyone in this world is crying for something or the other. Either you're crying for what is lost, or you're crying for something that you don't have. Right? So everyone in this world is crying for something or the other. In Bhagavatam, there's a very interesting story. There was there were like 2 birds, male and female birds. So the female bird, a hunter took away the female bird. So the male bird started to cry so much in separation from the female bird that it didn't even realize that the hunter came to catch him, and the hunter caught him also and took him away. So the point is, lamentation is good to a certain extent, but over lamenting, over crying about something will actually put us in a bigger mess. So they say that this world, everyone lives in a BMW mode. What is BMW? So BMW means B refers to blaming. This is the typical attitudes and mindsets people have in this world. B refers to blaming. Everyone wants to blame someone or the other for their problem and their misery. W refers to everyone is crying, and M refers to mourning, and W is waning. So basically everyone in this world is blaming, crying, mourning, waning, always in a state of complaining. So they say in English, if you miss an opportunity, don't fill your eyes with tears, for you will not see the next one coming along. So sometimes at this point Arjuna is crying so much, he's feeling his life is in a mess, he's completely depressed, but he's not able to see that probably one door is closing for you, something else is opening for you. So life is like that. When something closes on you, realize that there is some other opportunity waiting for you. But if you're too attached to the previous conceptions, then you'll not be able to see what is coming. So Arjuna, even though he is crying, the only good thing that Arjuna does is, Arjuna chooses to hear Bhagavad Gita. And after hearing Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna's all lamentation means crying, misery, all that vanishes away. So Bhagavad Gita is such a book. When we remove time to read the scriptures, to hear the scriptures, all the lamentation go away. Just like now, when someone cries, you have a handkerchief that is handy. You use an handkerchief. So Bhagavad Gita is like that handkerchief. So in life, time and again you reach a situation where there will be heartbreaks, right? When someone will break your trust and someone will hurt you, with some way or the other, things will go on. That's how life is. So whenever we go through something like this, what do? Pick up Gita and read. So when we keep coming back to this wisdom of Gita, it acts like a handkerchief, it acts like a balm that actually heals our heart. So Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna starts with this position where he's crying, he's lamenting. But after hearing Gita, after he goes through this whole journey of this Gita course, Arjuna is very, very clear. Right? So here, the word that is used is Madhusudana. Krishna is called Madhusudana. If you remember last time we did this exercise of different names of Krishna. Remember we discussed Gopal, Parsarthi, different names of Krishna. So one of the name of Krishna is called Madhusudana. Have you all heard this name?
Yes.
So anyone knows what is the meaning of Madhusudana? Huh? Yeah. So Sudana means a killer. There was a demon called Madhu. Because Krishna killed a demon called Madhu, he is called Madhusudana. That's one meaning of Madhusudana. Another meaning of Madhusudana is, Madhu also refers to honey or nectar, basically. Madhu. Right? Yeah, Madhumakki we say, na? Honey bee is called Madhumakki. So Madhu is basically honey basically. So Krishna kills our lamentation. Krishna takes away a bitterness with his sweetness. So when we add Krishna in our life, when we had the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita in our life, the bitterness that we have, everyone's heart is filled with so much bitterness, isn't it? And the bitterness comes out in form of words and everything like that. You can actually make out. What is inside will actually come out in some way or the other. So because our heart is filled with bitterness, because of all the bitter experience we have gone through, that bitterness comes out also in words. But when we come in touch with Krishna, Krishna kills all our bitterness with the sweetness of his teachings and his pastimes. That is the second meaning of Madhusudana. The third meaning of Madhusudana, this is very interesting. Madhu also refers to ego, false ego. Hai ki nahi? All of us, if someone praises us, how do we feel? Like honey, na? Isn't it? Nectarian. Hai ki nahi? If someone speaks good about you, how do you feel? You feel good. You feel that this person should go on and on. Hai ki nahi? We love to hear our glories. Correct? So here Madhu refers to false ego. When you drink too much honey, it's actually an intoxication. If you have too much honey, it acts like an intoxication. So too much false ego is actually intoxicating. People get, just like this, so many other forms of intoxication. False pride is also an intoxication. People get addicted to it. People want people to praise them. People love to be, their names coming up everywhere, their photos coming up everywhere. This is an addiction. So Krishna is also called Madhusudana because Krishna destroys false ego. Especially when Krishna sees false ego in the hearts of devotees, when Krishna sees the pride coming in the hearts of devotees, Krishna will personally destroy it. You all know Govardhan Leela? Govardhan Leela, Krishna lifted Govardhan. You know why Krishna lifted Govardhan? Anyone knows?
To protect the people from the rain.
Yeah, to protect people from rain. Yeah, that's one reason. But there's another reason to it also.
Indra. Indra.
Indra. So why? What is the connection with Indra?
Indra is the god of rain.
Huh.
And he said, I am the most powerful.
Yeah, so Indra became proud. Indra was feeling, I am great. These Vrajavasis, every year they were doing their annual puja to Indra. Huh? And one year Krishna told them, stop it. Indra got so furious because he was accustomed to that honor. He was accustomed to be glorified. Krishna knew that Indra had pride. So Krishna is Madhusudana. Krishna lifted Govardhan just to destroy the pride of Indra. Right? And there's so many stories like this. Anytime you have pride and you're a devotee of Krishna, realize that Krishna is going to come and do the surgery very soon. Open heart surgery. And the surgery is good because only when the surgery happens, we will actually make progress in spiritual life. Did I tell you the story about daily work of God? No? I didn't tell you all the story. Very interesting story. So one time there was a king, and this king told one of his minister, please tell me what is the daily work of God. Bhagwan रोज क्या करते हैं? तो minister said, who knows? God only knows. है कि नहीं? If you don't know, no one answer, you say God only knows. Now who knows what God does every day? So the minister was thinking, crazy king. So the king told him, if you don't tell me by tomorrow, I will kill you. So minister said, forget this king. He said, let me run away from the kingdom. So he sat on his horse and he started to just flee away. So when he reached the outskirts, there was one farmer. This farmer saw the king, the minister. Minister is very sad, looking very down. So the farmer asked this minister, can I help you? So the minister said, this crazy king is asking what is the daily work of God. Who knows? Farmer said, I know. So the minister said, tell me, I'll go and tell it to the king. Farmer said, no. Take me, I will only answer the king. So the minister takes the farmer to the king. So the king is, like you can see in this picture, king is sitting on top. Generally the king sit on high dais. All the other people are down. So the farmer was down, the king was on top on his, golden throne. So the king asked this farmer, tell me what is the daily work of God. Farmer said, no, you come down. So the king came down because he wanted an answer. The story doesn't end here. The farmer went on top and sat on the throne with the king. And from there he said, now ask. Because to get knowledge, the guru should be on top, no? So the king has a question, he can't ask from top. So the farmer put him down and asked him, now you ask. So the king was so furious. Right in front of everyone, he's being so much insulted. So anyway, he had his question. So the king asked him, what is the daily work of God? The farmer said, this is the daily work of God. To pull proud people down and to take humble people on top. So this is what God does. So anytime there is pride, there is ego, Krishna is Madhusudana, Krishna will definitely destroy it. So these are the different meanings of Madhusudana. So basically, in this shloka, Sanjay explains, seeing Arjuna full of compassion and his eyes full of tears, Krishna speaks the following words. Prabhupada mentions that for someone to actually be a candidate to understand Bhagavad Gita, that's what we are trying to understand, understanding the mindset of Arjuna. So Prabhupada explains this kind of compassion is something that's very important. Having a soft heart, right? Only a person who has a genuine soft heart, a compassionate heart, can actually be a good candidate for spiritual life. But it is also important to understand what compassion is, what it means to be compassionate. Someone is having diabetes, high diabetes. You may say, I really love this guy and I go and give him sweets. Is that compassion? No. Intention is correct, but you should also know how to show your love. Isn't it? You can't have a standard formula for everyone. Isn't it? So someone who is suffering from a serious illness like diabetes, you go and give him sweets, that's not compassion. Prabhupada gives an example. Someone who is drowning in an ocean and he is wearing the best suit, costliest suit. what will you do? Will you just pull that suit away and get it? You will actually save that person. So the point is, Prabhupada mentions here, in order to show compassion to someone, we first need to understand who that someone is. If we are thinking that the someone whom we refer to is this body, we will show compassion only on the bodily level. The general idea of compassion in this world is what? Give people food, give people clothing, give people medicines. That's the general understanding. But how much ever you give people food, clothing, medicines, can you save their body forever? Can you eternally protect them from disease? You can't do it. So showing compassion to the body is good, but that is not the best. You have to show compassion to the person within the body. This body is only a dress. The real personality is the Atma within. And showing compassion to that person actually means giving him the process through which he can actually go out of the cycle of birth and death. He can actually transcend this world of misery. So that is what Prabhupada explains here. Compassion really means not compassion just on the bodily level, but compassion by giving people the connection to spirituality, the connection with God. You remember in our Journey of Self-Discovery course, towards the end of the first day session, Search for Happiness, we discussed the story. If you find a child of a millionaire roaming around, right? You may give a child food, water, whatever, but the best service you can do the child is connect the child back to the father, because the father of the child is a millionaire. So we may do some small seva here and there, that's all good. But the best is to keep giving people their connection with that Supreme Father Krishna. Once that connection is there, that person will be sorted in his life. Completely sorted and happy in his life. So this is what Prabhupada explains in text 1. Can you go to the next sloka? Okay. So this was Arjuna's. So till now, this is we finished the first chapter, 46 verses in the first chapter. And the first verse in the second chapter, till now Krishna has not spoken. Till now Krishna has not spoken. This is the first time in Gita Krishna is speaking. First time in Gita Krishna speaks. Very important verse. You all can repeat after me. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Kutastva Kashmalam Idam Vishame Samupastitam Anarya Dushtam Aswargyam Akirti Karam Arjuna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. So Arjuna, he's given real good reasons why he doesn't want to fight. Compassion and this, that, and so many reasons. Krishna calls all of Arjuna's reasons as Kashmala, impurities. Krishna says all your logic is actually all faulty logic. So many times we may think that our way of seeing life is perfect, because that's how everyone sees. Again, the way the conditioned mindset is, we can justify anything and everything. Anything and everything can be justified. Right? Even a criminal has many reasons why he does crime. He'll convince you why he has to do it. So everyone can justify what they want. Like these terrorists, they are like pakka, they are like convinced of why they are doing. They can give you like justifications one after another. So ultimately, we all can tell that my way is the highway. Right? My way is exactly the right way. But then we have to see from a higher perspective what actually God wants us. We may think that we are correct, but from God's point of view, are we correct? So Arjuna is feeling that I am perfectly correct, but Krishna's understanding is, Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, sorry to say, you have got it all wrong. Right? Everything is wrong because your whole understanding starts from a wrong platform. So Prabhupada spends a good amount of time in this purport explaining the first line, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. You see, when Arjuna speaks, it's always written in Gita as Arjuna Vacha. When Sanjay speaks, it is Sanjay Vacha. When Dhritarashtra speaks, it is Dhritarashtra Vacha. When Krishna speaks, it is Sri Bhagavan Vacha. So Prabhupada explains, Krishna is not an ordinary person. This is the first thing we need to understand before entering Gita. We saw the mindsets of a disciple, how a disciple or a student of Bhagavad Gita has to be humble, has to be open, has to be submissive, has to have compassion. So these are qualities that a student of Bhagavad Gita has to have. Next very important thing to understand is, I am reading Bhagavad Gita because Bhagavad Gita is not a book written by an ordinary mortal. If Tom, Dick, Harry had to speak Bhagavad Gita, why would we wasting time? We wasting our time discussing Bhagavad Gita. We are discussing Bhagavad Gita because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by that Supreme Lord Bhagavan. Krishna is not an ordinary person. This is the first point that a student of the Bhagavad Gita needs to understand. If you consider Krishna to be an ordinary person, you will not take the wisdom of Gita seriously. You will not take it seriously. So Prabhupada spends a good amount of time explaining how Krishna is that Supreme Lord. Prabhupada gives many proofs. Many proofs. In our Journey of Self-Discovery course, we had one section where we discussed this topic about definition of God. You all remember this? We discussed how God is Bhagavan. What does Bhagavan mean? One was 6 opulences in full. We discussed this now. One who is the wealthiest, one is the strongest, one is the most beautiful, the most knowledgeable. And we discussed that if you study the scriptures and if you study all personalities, only one person fits into this category. That is Krishna. And Prabhupada quotes so many quotations. So Prabhupada explains here, when you'll have time, you can go back and read. So Prabhupada explains Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. How Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada quotes Bhagavatam, Etecha Amshakala Pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So after Bhagavad Gita, there's a book called Bhagavatam, huge scripture. So the Bhagavatam explains the various avatars of Krishna, and then it says Krishna is that Supreme Lord who is the source of all the other avatars. So there are many verses in the scriptures which explains that how Krishna is that Supreme Lord. So this is what Prabhupada stresses on initially. Only with this understanding one can actually enter into the wisdom of Gita. So when we connect to Krishna, when we connect to that Lord who is the source of all opulences, all these opulences come in us also. We also achieve this. One of the opulence of Krishna is wealth. So when you connect to Krishna, you also get wealth. What does this wealth mean? Wealth means spiritual wealth, the wealth of bhakti. The wealth of this world is going to go away today or tomorrow. Is it eternal? Alexander, he conquered so much, but when he left this world, how did he leave it? He left empty-handed. Right? The wealth of this world will go away, but the real wealth is the wealth that will stay with us forever, and that is the wealth of bhakti. There's a very interesting story. There was one devotee of Lord Shiva, a great follower of Lord Shiva. So he prayed to Lord Shiva, Shiva, I'm very poor, give me some wealth. So Shiva told him, go to Vrindavan. In Vrindavan there is a Babaji called Sanatan Goswami. He has a Paras money. You all have heard of Paras money? No. Paras money is called touchstone. If you get it, give me up. So touchstone means anything that you touch becomes gold. Anything you touch becomes gold. How many of you all want Paras money? So Paras money means you touch anything, you touch this laptop, it becomes gold. So this fellow, Lord Shiva told him, go to Sanatan Goswami, he has Paras money. So this fellow immediately ran to Vrindavan. For what? To get Paras money, not to see Krishna. He went to Vrindavan to get this Paras money. And Sanatan Goswami was doing his bhajan there. So he came and told him, Babaji, Shivji has told me you have Paras money. Where it is? You see, there you can see the garbage bin. Inside that it is. So this fellow, he couldn't believe. He went inside, dove inside the garbage bin and he got the paras money. He touched everything, became gold. He was running away because he got what he wanted. While he was going away, a thought entered him. If Sanatan Goswami has put paras money in garbage bin, that means he has something more costlier than this. So he comes back to Sanatan Goswami and he's asking him, you have anything more valuable than this? Sanatan Goswami says yes. Says, give me that. His condition is, throw this paras money in Yamuna. Right? To get something, you have to give up something also. So with a lot of faith, he just throws that paras money. And then, you know what he gives him?
Krishna.
He gives him the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is called Chintamani. This is millions of times much more powerful and more costlier than even paras money. Because how much ever gold you make, you have to leave and go. Ravan lived in an island of gold. But could Ravan take anything along? Nothing. Lanka was there, he left. So whatever gold you make, you can't carry anything with you. The only wealth that can always come with you is the names of Krishna. So this is true wealth. So when you come in connection with Krishna, we achieve this true wealth. We achieve strength. So strength refers to actually spiritual strength. To say no to temptations, the strength to actually go on in spiritual life. And when you come in connection with Krishna, we achieve true beauty. I always give this example. In Ramayana, you have one kand of Ramayana called Sundarkand. You have heard of Sundarkand? So in Sundarkand, if you read Sundarkand, Ram is not there in the Sundarkand. Sita Maiya's little description is there. But Sundarkand, the major personality is Hanumanji. So in the Sundarkand, who is Sundar, who is beautiful? Hanumanji is considered to be beautiful. Hanumanji is a monkey. Are monkeys beautiful? Miss Universe, whatever, Mr. Universe, will you ever find a monkey coming, winning the prize? Monkey is not beautiful. But Hanumanji is such a monkey that everyone loves. Hanumanji is one personality, whoever it is, man, woman, child, elderly, everyone is in love with Hanumanji. Why? Because Hanumanji is the real inner beauty of bhakti to Lord Ram. So external beauty is going to fade away with time. The beauty that actually stands the test of time is the inner beauty. Right? So when we come in connection with Krishna, we all become beautiful. In the sense that, we become beautiful in Krishna's eyes, in the eyes of the Lord, and even in the eyes of the world. Like our founder Acharya of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada, we see the deities of Srila Prabhupada, he's in his elderly 70s. But Prabhupada, when he went to America to preach, so many of these boys and girls were really in love with Srila Prabhupada. They would surrender to Srila Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada would emanate a certain spiritual, beauty from within. And then when you come in connection with Krishna, knowledge also comes. So knowledge is just not about achieving degrees in hand. Knowledge is actually about achieving that inner transformation, achieving that inner enlightenment. This is a shloka from the Bhagavad Gita, the 10th chapter. Krishna says, Tesham evanu kampartam aham ajnana jam tamaha nashayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvatam. So Krishna says, when we come in connection with Krishna and when we practice the process of bhakti, Krishna personally enters our heart and lights the lamp of knowledge. Jnana deepena bhasvatam. So we all have a lamp within us, but the lamp is not lit. And the only person who can lit this lamp is Krishna. So when Krishna comes, when we take up process of Krishna consciousness, when we establish connection with Krishna, we actually become knowledgeable. And we become famous also. You see, the fame in this world, people forget. Like any famous actor or actress, how long someone will remember them. Michael Jackson, at his point, he was like very famous. Now who speaks about Michael Jackson? Hardly anyone. But now if you see, thousands of years later, hundreds of years later, the personalities you remember are devotees of the Lord. You remember Tukaram Maharaj, you will remember Hanumanji, you remember all these great personalities, Sudama. 5,000 years ago the story happened, still their fame is on. their fame will never go away. Eternal. One time, one of our devotees, our ISKCON temple in Bombay is in Juhu, one of our temples in Juhu. Juhu is a place where all Bollywood stars stay. It's a really costly area, and just like your Donapur area. So that's Juhu there. So one of our devotees, before he coming to ISKCON, he was a big fan of Dharmendra. Big fan. He joined ISKCON, and after joining ISKCON, he was going house to house distributing Bhagavad Gita. So one day, suddenly, without his knowledge, he landed in their house. Dharmendra Hemavani's house, he landed up. And Dharmendra opened the door, got him inside, and Dharmendra touched the feet of this devotee. And this devotee was thinking, all my life I was this person's fan. Now I have become a devotee of Krishna, whom I was a fan of is touching my feet now. Because I have surrendered to Krishna. So the point is, when we connect to Krishna, automatically whatever opulence we need comes along. Srila Prabhupada, when he went to America, Prabhupada went with 40 rupees in his pocket. With 40 rupees, what you can get in America? Nothing practically. Just in 10 years, Prabhupada had hundreds of temples all over the world. Each temple is spending so much, so much opulence is coming. So Prabhupada, one time when he came back to India, Prabhupada was meeting businessmen. And Prabhupada was telling that when you meet business people, you have to talk in business language. Okay? So Prabhupada was telling them, you're all business people, you all will understand. I went and started this movement with 40 rupees. Now we have so much property, so much expenses going on for Krishna, for the society. And how did this all start? Just with faith in the holy names of Krishna. Because Prabhupada had faith in Krishna, automatically whatever needed started to come. So this is the first thing that Prabhupada explains in this verse, the word Shri Bhagavan Vacha. So Krishna is asking Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come in you? I think last week I was giving this example. Rainwater is pure. But when the rainwater hits the ground, it becomes muddy. Originally we are all pure. No impurities. But just coming in this world is a place where there are impurities around. You open the internet, you open your mobile, there are so many images and so many things just to contaminate you. Just keep going around. There are so many things that will bombard your consciousness with impurity. So Krishna is asking this, Arjuna, you are actually pure. How have these impurities come in you? So when we follow certain rules and regulations in the process of bhakti, that's where the purity actually comes back. I remember, I think last time I was giving this example of if a rainwater comes on the ground becomes muddy, you have to make the rainwater go through a filtration process. Only when the rainwater goes through a filtration process, the original purity will come. So similarly, when we are all impure, that's why we are there in this world. If we were pure, we would have been in the spiritual world. The point that we are there in this world is there are a lot of anarthas within us, impurities. But when we follow certain rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness, follow the process of chanting, reading, hearing, gradually the original purity will come. So Krishna in this verse uses the word Aryan. Anarya Jushtam Aswargyam. Aryan. Have you all heard this word Aryan before? Where you all have heard this? Aryan civilization. So basically, this is Hitler. So Hitler felt that they are the Aryan race. So Aryan refers to a superior race basically. So Hitler felt that the Germans are the superior race and he started to conquer and do all this. But actually, the word Aryan refers to an advanced personality or a cultured personality. Aryan. One who is like highly elevated, highly cultured. That's an Aryan. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are an Aryan. You are born in the land of India. You are born in a place where, in a family that is so cultured. How have these impurities come in you? How are these dirty things come in you? That's what Krishna is asking. Right? So, should I go ahead or I think at this point we can take some question answers if you all have anything. till what we discussed till now?
No, I think the fact that these purities, I'd like to know what are the Krishna
What is that?
How did he get the impurities?
purities.
Who?
Now that you've started
Started.
with impurities.
Okay, you want to know the next? Okay, you are saying let's go ahead. ठीक है. Any other questions? Anyone else at this point? Are you able to connect to this shlokas? Is it making sense to you all?
Yes.
Okay. Yes? Yeah.
It's making sense.
Making sense. Perfect. So my request is also please do go back and refer to the purports in this, the verses that we are reading from. It will make a lot of sense to you. You'll be able to actually make the connect. You'll be able to make the connect between the classes and the book. Ultimately, this is what we want you all to achieve. We want you all to connect to the book. So these classes are an impetus. It's like an additional help for you all, a support system, so that you all can get into the book and start making that connection in the book. Okay, we'll read the next verse, text 3. Klebyamma samagama partha. It's a little longer verse, but you all can try. Klebyamma samagama partha. Naitatvai upapadyate. Shudram hridaya dorbalyam. Tyaktva uttishta parantapa. Good. O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading importance. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of enemy. So, Krishna is telling Arjuna, see, Arjuna is showing himself as like a very compassionate person who doesn't want to fight and everything. Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are an important. Krishna is calling Arjuna, you are a coward. So Arjuna is showing himself that I have compassion. Krishna is saying this is weakness of heart. I mean the same thing, the way Arjuna sees it and the way Krishna sees it is altogether different. Right? If you will see ahead in the verses, one of the reasons Arjuna gives is, my dear Krishna, I will not fight because if I fight, I will get sin of killing so many people. Krishna tells Arjuna, if you don't fight, you will get sin of not doing your duty. Right? So the angles are different only. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come in you? You are son of Pritha. Arjuna's one name is Partha. Why is Arjuna's name Partha? Because he was Kunti's son. One of the name of Kunti was Pritha. So because Arjuna is Pritha's son, he is called Partha. I think we discussed this. Krishna is called Vasudev. Why is Krishna called Vasudev? Because his father was Vasudev. Because he is the son of Vasudev, he is called Vasudev, like that. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, Are, you are the son of Kunti. That lady who suffered, who has gone through so much. You are in such a great dynasty and you are acting like an important, you are showing some petty weakness of heart. This doesn't suit you. So Krishna in one way is chastising Arjuna also. Because a guru is not always goody. A guru is heavy. In fact, the word guru in Sanskrit, the actual literal meaning of guru means heavy. Okay? So guru is heavy. He will cut you through. One of our Srila Prabhupada's disciple is Alfred Ford. You have heard of Alfred Ford? Henry Ford's great grandson, Alfred Ford. In Mayapur, we have like a huge temple that is coming up. I mean, that's the biggest temple in the entire world. Biggest temple. I mean, crores of dollars, crores and crores. Half of the funding is given by Alfred Ford. Half of it. Almost like $350 million given by Alfred Ford. So when Alfred Ford was a young boy, the disciples brought him to Srila Prabhupada. And the disciples were like very excited. And imagine Henry Ford's great grandson, in those days, in 70s, like Ford company was the company, in the West. So now Ford company is like almost like the proprietor has come down to meet Srila Prabhupada. So they were introducing him to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is the great grandson of Henry Ford. So he offered obeisance to Prabhupada. Prabhupada's first question to him was, Generally, when you meet like a wealthy guy, you will like flatter him and do all that. Prabhupada didn't do all that. Prabhupada's first question to him was, so, where is Henry Ford? So Prabhupada was trying to hit him. You may be a great grandson of Henry Ford. Your Henry Ford must have accumulated a lot of wealth. But where is he now? Vanished in oblivion. Right? So Prabhupada was trying to tell him that you may be whoever you are, but ultimately you are a spirit soul, so remain grounded. And that one thing made this Alfred Ford so inspired by Srila Prabhupada that he actually dedicated his entire life. 45 years. He's actually an initiated disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Ambrish Das, for last 45 years practicing the Krishna consciousness, fully surrendered. So we all need encouragement in life. And encouragement is not always good words. Not only words that are soothing to hear, satisfying the ego. Encouragement basically may come in the form of a chastisement, but it is always meant to push us ahead. Guru is one, or a teacher is one who can actually see the potential in the student and inspire him ahead to go higher in life. So Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna, what has happened to you? Krishna uses the word, two words here. Krishna uses the word Partha to tell Arjuna that you are the son of Pritha, explaining Arjuna his connection with Kunti. And then Krishna uses the word called Parantapa. Arjuna's one name is Partha. Another word, adjective used for Arjuna is Parantapa. Parantapa means conqueror of the enemies. Oh Arjuna, you have conquered so many enemies, you have won so many wars. How are you losing this internal battle? Does this suit you? It doesn't suit you. So Krishna is reminding Arjuna of his heritage. We will end with this one point, but it's a very important point. A very important point. See, many times we forget, our own heritage that we are coming from. Indian culture, just like Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are born in a great family. Being born in a great family, there's a great responsibility that comes along. Okay? If you have a great lineage, a great family, a great set of education, you have a certain responsibility that comes along with it. So we are all, in one sense, like Arjuna. Arjuna was an Aryan because he was born in this great land of India, the land of culture. The entire world looks to India for culture, for values, for dharma. So Indian culture is something that is not available anywhere in the world. There is no second model to it. Indian culture is the culture in the world. In fact, the outside worlds, whatever little culture they have, it's all started from here. All our rishis from here, the kings from here have gone there, and that's where they have got all this culture. In today's world, Indians are everywhere. Especially if you see in US, 38% of the doctors in US are Indians. 12% of the scientists are Indians. 36% of the people employed in NASA are Indians, because Indians are the smart guys. Software companies, 34% Microsoft workers, probably more than that, Indians. 12% Intel workers, Indians. Indians are there, just one minute. Indians are there everywhere, because Indians are very intelligent. But it is also important that Indians also understand the culture that we are coming from. India is just not meant to send out Indians who can act like software workers, do this, do that. That's all great. But what is important is India is supposed to send out people who can teach the outside world our culture, our ethos. For that to happen, the Indians have to understand what our culture is. How will you spread out? The British, when they came to India, they made the Indians feel themselves backward. Indians are very shy about projecting their own culture. A simple thing that how many people do you see wearing dhoti kurta now? And how many people do you see? This is our culture. The Westerners guys, the Western people came and made us act in a certain way. And for us to wear dhoti kurta is now a symbol of shyness. To wear tilak is a symbol of shyness now. Actually, it should be the other way around. We should actually be proud to have this great refined Indian culture. So Srila Prabhupada would say, Indian culture is like an elephant. An elephant, whether it is dead or alive, it is valuable. That's how an elephant is. Indian culture, it's there now, still there in this land of India, but slowly dying off. What India was 100 years ago, that culture is no longer there, so much westernization. But still, even though the Indian culture is slowly waning and dying off, still you can see the entire world comes to this Indian culture. The entire world comes to this Indian culture. Imagine if the entire India with its culture can wake up again. What impact India can have on the world? What impact India can have on the world? So therefore, this is Krishna's appeal to all of us not to give up our culture. We are not supposed to be, replicas of what they are. We are supposed to be who we are and proud of who we are. It's just not about who we are. We should actually be proud of an Indian culture. We should know what an Indian culture is and we should actually be proud of it. So Krishna uses the word Shudra, Klaibyam, Hridaya Dorbalyam. Krishna is telling Arjuna, give up this weakness of heart and arise. So the word Uttishta is the wake up call that Krishna is telling us. Uttishta means wake up, get up, arise. So Krishna is basically telling all of us that we all have that great potential. India has a great potential, Indian culture has a great potential. We just need to realize it, understand what heritage we are coming from, develop pride in it and wake up. And Indians as a whole, when we wake up, the entire world will actually salute what India is for. Right? I think I will stop at this point. From text 4, we can do it the next time. Thank you all very much. Any questions, any comments?
Very enlightening.
Okay.
Confusion is good.
Confusion is good provided